Hi, welcome to my channel, Gabby's Twinkies. I love that name, Gabby's Twinkies. My channel's name is after me. I'm Gabrielle Gabby, and my twins are, I have twins, and they're my Twinkies. I call them Twinkies. So that's the name, where it comes from, and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about lingual tonsil mass. That's a long word. It's a lingual tonsil mass. I'm going to tell my story of what happened in 2016 and explain what happened to me and up to what's going to happen now. Okay, here's how it goes. In 2016, I didn't have insurance. I had Medicaid that got taken away because I started working. Yeah, if you start working, everything gets taken away. And my new jobs didn't offer insurance yet. So I had to go without insurance. And I had gone for a while. They said that everything was fine. Then I started getting like shortness of breath, and my glands kept swelling up on me. And I would take ibuprofen and Tylenol or whatever to get it to go down. Everything would, I get it under control, or to a point where I wouldn't even deal with it. Weren't thinking about it. And then I was let go of that job, and then I finally got my Medicaid back, and I went to the doctor. I was having another one of my episodes where my throat was closing up and my glands were all swollen out, and I was having trouble breathing. But I wasn't sick. I didn't feel sick. I didn't have a fever. I didn't want anything. But I went to a new doctor because I had gotten Medicaid back, and I had to find a different doctor because my doctor I had originally didn't take it anymore. So I went to a new doctor. For the first time I saw him, because it was like, oh, we're new. So he prescribed me steroid and an antibiotic and said, come back and we'll set up a physical and get blood work and do everything. I said, okay. I took the medicine, did everything they wanted me to do. It took the edge off. That was about it. Didn't do anything else to me. So I went back to the doctor, told him I'm still not right. I'm still kind of not feeling good, but, my throat's still kind of closing up on me. Well, he said, well, maybe it's just asthma. Here's some, inhaler for when it acts up on you. He gave me a basic blood work panel that came back normal, other than my white count was a little high, but my white count's always high. So there's nothing else. Everything would look good. Got a new job in July. At the end of June, early July, I got a job. So I couldn't take any time off to go to doctor's appointments or do anything, because it was like I was trying to go through the 2-week or 3-week of training. So I got all the way through training. Throat was closing up on me the whole time, having trouble breathing, couldn't, my throat would swell up the whole time. The person that was in the cubicle next to me, she had a feather boa thing around her cubicle. And I'm thinking, oh, there you go. I'm allergic to feathers. That's why I'm having trouble breathing the whole time. I had a reason why my throat was swelling up and having trouble breathing, because I was allergic to feathers. Okay, then that's the reason. I don't have to worry about it. I can just like deal with it. The last day of my training, I was really swollen. My neck was swollen. My glands were swollen. I was like huffing and puffing. I was having trouble breathing all day. I made it through my 8-hour shift. Went home. Dealt with the kids. Got them, did my thing with the kids and got them to bed. And I usually go either in my mom's room or the living room to watch TV, because there's no TV where I'm at, where I sleep. So I went into my mom's room because she has cable, because there's no cable in the living room. So I went into her room, and while she was sleeping and was watching TV, and I was in so much pain. I was crying. I was in so much pain. My neck and my throat were so swollen. I was thinking, maybe I've got strep throat or something, because it hurts so bad. I was sitting on the bed watching TV, curled up in a ball, crying into a pillow, because I didn't want to wake my mom up. It was like in the middle of the night. I didn't want to wake her up. She's having, she's been working all day. She's tired. She's sleeping. So I'm curled up in a ball, crying because it hurts so bad, and I was having trouble breathing. I couldn't breathe. I went to my mom got up to go to the bathroom, and she looks over at me and she goes, "You're white as a sheet. What is wrong?" I said, "My throat is hurting so bad, and I can't breathe." And she goes, "That's it. We're going to the hospital." She didn't blink. Said, "All right, let's go to the hospital." I'm like, "But I know I really need to be in the hospital, go to the hospital in the middle of the night, because it's Friday night, and it's crazy. Friday nights are horrible, because because it's always really packed." She was like, "No, we're going." So we got my sister to watch the kids, and she took me to the emergency room. It was packed. There was no room. I mean, when they brought me into the back, they figured they were gonna fast track me. So they put me on a gurney in the hallway and they gave me a steroid to help with the swelling and the breathing, because they could see that I was having trouble breathing. They gave me, Tylenol, ibuprofen through the IV, and they said, "Well, we're going to send you down for an x-ray, so they can quickly get me in and out," because they're really busy that night. Well, they take me down the x-ray, and they did the head and chest x-ray to see, and the person that was doing the x-ray was talking to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I thought I might have, tonsil. I mean, I'm not tonsil. I thought I had strep throat or something, because everything hurts, and I was having trouble breathing, but I'm not sick. I don't feel sick." She goes, "That's weird. Usually when you have strep throat or something, you feel sick or something." So I was like, "No, I'm not." And she does the x-ray. She goes, "All right, well," it puts me back in the wheelchair that they had me on, and puts me in the hallway and says, "Well, we're gonna develop these and see what they say. See if they, we need to redo it." Well, I'm waiting in the hallway, and she comes out and says, "We're gonna do a CAT scan." I'm like, "What? A CAT? Why would they need a CAT scan if they just did the x-ray?" Anyway, they sent me in. I got the CAT scan. Came back. They put me in the hallway again. And I was sitting in the hallway waiting. And waiting. An hour goes by. I'm waiting. Someone says, "Hey," the nurse comes by and says, "Hey, guess what? We got a room available." So they open the curtain and puts me into a little cubicle room with the little drape around the door. So I'm like, I'm the only one in this room. I'm like, wow, they really must have gotten somebody out. Had to go. I got an actual room. But I got in there. I had to wait a little while longer, and then the doctor comes in, and he's got my nurse, another nurse, a intern with him, and he tells me, guess what? We found something on your X-ray and CAT scan. We can't figure out what it is, but it looks like some kind of mass or something. But we're gonna numb up your nose and your throat, and we're going to stick a camera down your nose to see if we can see anything. So they did that. They sprayed this awful stuff down, and like lots of stuff down my nose and in my throat, and like, ugh, it was awful. Waited a few minutes. Then the doctor goes, okay, we're going to do the camera thing now. And he's like, I don't think he's ever actually had to do it before, because it was horrible. He was sticking the thing in and jiggering it around, and it was like, you can feel it scratching my throat, going down into the back of my throat. I'm like dying, sitting there like, like, because it hurt. And then he gets it in, looks around, and next thing I'm looking at all the nurses and the intern, and they're all like, and behind the doctor, looking at the they have it's like a little camera thing on the back of the port, the thing that goes down your nose, and they're looking at that, and then he pulls it out and says, yes, there is a mass in the back of your throat and down into your throat that is covering your airways and making it hard for you to breathe, and that's probably why you're having trouble breathing, and and that's why everything's so swollen. I said, okay, so now what? He goes, well, I'm going to give you a script to go see a ear, nose, and throat and send you home. I said, I've got this Medicaid insurance, and if I leave here, I'm never going to go see a doctor. I'm not leaving. If you're going to tell me that I have a mass in the back of my throat, I'm not leaving until I find out what the hell is going on. So he said, okay, let me see if I can get a hold of the person that is on call for the ear, nose, and throat and see when he comes in. Because I had already been in the hospital since 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was already 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, it's already 3 o'clock in the morning. It was almost 4 by the time I finally was like, no, I'm not leaving this emergency room until I find out what's going on. So he pages the on-call. They said that they can be there around 8 o'clock. So I spent the entire night not sleeping, not whatever, in the emergency room, waiting for the on-call doctor to come in. He comes in. It's a young kid, very young doctor, comes in. He looks at my scan, then he comes in, he comes over, let's spray your nose again. But this time he knew what he was doing. It didn't hurt going down, so he did it. He's like, okay, there's definitely a mass down there. I don't feel comfortable releasing you. You're going to get a room. I'm going to call the actual doctor. Apparently, he was the intern. He was the doctor's intern that came in to check me out and then probably send me home. But guess what? No, I had to be seen. So I got in. They had to wait for a room. So it's half the day in the emergency room again, with still not sleeping. I was exhausted. I finally got a room in the early afternoon. They gave me some things to eat because they didn't even feed me there. I finally got something to eat, and then I dozed off and finally went to sleep. And then the next morning, Saturday, they decided that the doctor finally showed up to look at everything. I had to wait. He said, yeah, but we're going to do surgery. We're going to get I feel that you might need to get a a trach because because of the mask is so big, it might close up your throat and it might become an emergency versus if we do electively put the trach in and protect your airway. I had no idea what that meant, but I said, okay, if that's what you feel is right to do, I did that. I got the trach. They were going to do a trach. They sent me they didn't do anything Sunday. They were going to do the surgery on, what did they do Sunday? Yeah, they did Sunday. They took me by ambulance to another hospital to get an MRI. Because the hospital that I was in didn't have an MRI. But their other office in like 10 miles down the road did have an MRI. So I had to go by ambulance to the other hospital, get the MRI, and come back. And then Monday I was going to have the surgery. That was like, the day after I had the surgery, I was put in the ICU. I had trach. They had the breathing tube on my trach because they weren't sure if I was going to be able to breathe or not. But I was there for like 4 or 5 days. I don't even remember that time. It was a complete blur. They were able to see that I was breathing on my own without the breathing tube. So they took the breathing tube off and they put a smaller trach in because they had a huge one on. That's why the hole in my neck is so big. It's because they had a really big tube in there instead of a smaller for the help with the breathing. I did that. And finally, eventually, they wanted to send me home with the trach. They were sending me to a specialist for the surgery, but I had to wait for the appointment. So they wanted to send me home right after getting the trach, not know how to breathe, not know how to clean it, not know how to take care of it. They were going to send me home. My mom was like, I don't think so. You're not sending her home with this thing in her neck and not know how to take care of it, how to take care of yourself. So they sent me to a rehab center. So I spent like several weeks at the rehab center. I went to the doctor that specialized in the ear, nose, and throat that was going to do the surgery. He was the only one who does the robotic surgery on the throat in all of southern New Jersey. All of southern New Jersey. This was the only doctor that could do this. So I went in. He discussed a lot of things. He did the testing. He did the nose thing again. And yeah, he said, okay, well, we're going to talk with the scheduler. The scheduler is going to call you with a date and we're going to do a surgery and we're going to remove it. So he sent me back to the rehab. I spent a month there trying to get myself back to where I can function. At least know what I'm going to do because I was extremely sick. I couldn't breathe. I was coughing all the time. I was like, because of the trach, it was very bad. Anyway, they got the date for the surgery. I was already at home by then. They did the surgery. The doctor did the surgery. And he was like, it was a lot bigger than they did. The MRI said it was a month ago. It had grown so much. He called a lingual tonsil mass, and it is apparently you have tonsils in the back of your tongue, all the way in the back towards your throat and down your throat a little bit, and that got inflamed and swelled up and became a mass. And the mass that he took out of the back of my throat with the robotic arm was from the back of my throat all the way down. It was touching my voice box. I could have lost my voice. I could have, I mean, that was how big it was. It was huge. He took it out. He said, I should be fine. I spent months of trying to cap my trach to try and get it to where I can breathe on my own. I was okay. I just couldn't sleep with the cap or the trach capped because I coughed too much at night for that. But finally, eventually, they did take the trach out, and I'd had the trach for like 6 months. The doctor said everything was okay. There's some tissue still there. They couldn't get everything, all the tissue, because they don't know what's healthy and what's not healthy tissue, because there was some tissue that was still there. And he said, it's very small, teeny tiny possibility that it could grow back, but I don't see that happening. Well, a year and a half later, hello, I'm one of those anomalies. It grew back to the point where, yeah, my glands are swollen, my neck is swollen, but it's not covering my windpipe enough to need another trach. Thank goodness. I don't ever want to deal with that trach ever again. So I have an appointment next week to go to the hospital and have it removed again. In the process of doing all this, my white cells are always high, and my family doctor felt it was necessary to go see a hematologist. So I saw an hematologist oncologist to make sure everything was okay. He did all kinds of testing and everything. He said everything was fine, but he really wanted to follow my case to make sure it doesn't turn into anything. So he read the pathology report, and there's not much. They didn't really do a whole lot with it. They didn't test for anything, so they really didn't have that much of a pathology report, other than the fact that the tumor was huge. He was very concerned the fact that the size of the tumor, and that they didn't do other testing on it. So he has assured me that he will be in the path lab next week when they do the pathology on the tumor, that he will be there to get the proper testing for everything. So that way he feels more comfortable being the one to do it. Because he's does blood, he's in charge of blood, and that means like leukemias and lymphomas and all different kinds of stuff that you can think of. So he's going to do that. So I got somebody on my back, right next, that's got my back to double check the pathology on me this time, to make sure they do every test imaginable for me, to make sure it's nothing there, because he doesn't understand why it keeps growing. It grew back. He doesn't understand why it was so big. He didn't understand. He was like, this time I'm gonna be there to do it. So I have another surgery in a week from today, it'll be May 3rd when I have my surgery. And it'll be at Cooper Hospital in Camden, New Jersey. And it'll be done by the robotic arm again, by my fun doctor, a nice doctor. His name is Dr. Ahmad. So he'll be doing the surgery. And then once they do this, the surgery is done, I'll be in the hospital for a couple of days he said he was going to let me stay in the hospital for a couple of days for pain management, because it's going to be like going through removing your tonsils as an adult. Extremely painful. You don't have a voice. It hurts to talk. It's going to hurt to swallow. So I'm going to be drinking on a liquid diet for like a week or two. I already know the drill because I went through it already with my other surgery. So this is it. This is my story about my lingual tonsil tumor. It was not cancerous the last time. It was not cancerous. So lingual tonsils don't normally turn into cancer, they said, but you never know. There's a very small chance that you never know things could happen. But they're gonna check it out and make sure it's not anything serious. I hope I don't have to go through this again, because this is not gonna be fun. With 2 4-year-olds running around wanting mommy's attention, and I'm not even gonna be able to talk. Okay, this is it. I'm gonna say goodbye and do a video another time to explain more, or maybe even doing a video of like the day of the surgery and go through the steps of what's gonna happen. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.